this car half a second off the medium tyres.
He's a couple of tenths up on what his teammate was doing when he spun at this corner just a few moments ago, Carlos Sainz. And look, Charles on a much tighter line coming through turn 9. So I think Carlos with a lot of load, a lot more steering angle, then swept over that bump and lost control. The drivers, I mean, they've been doing this place for such a long time now. Been in Bahrain over a week, and now they shouldn't be finding new parts, but obviously lowering the car, getting into more racy trim, you do find more things out. Caught out Carlos Sainz, has not caught out Charles Leclerc, who's looking all right through 2 sectors. Medium tyres compared to everyone at the top of the times on the softs. Just fighting the car a little bit at the rear, coming through 13. Let's see what he does into the final corner. Just looks slightly on edge on the rear end. Again, the soft tyres, you pick up more rear grip, so that will help. But I don't think it's going to make a second and a half of difference at the moment.
4th place for Charles Leclerc as the monogas driver goes over the line. 2.5 seconds away from the benchmark pace set by Sergio Perez a few minutes ago.
Definitely something strange with the clutch, but just going out the carriage, I don't think it's a problem. When I take it back, it seems to, I don't know, to remain, to not go fully back.
Affected anything on a flying lap for Charles. Sounds like when he was releasing the clutch and then pulled it back in, and as he pulled it back in, it just wasn't quite fully engaging again.
So new issues being discovered all the time because they've run so many laps in testing, and yet there's still gremlins cropping up here and there. Lance Stroll went to...
It still feels like there's a problem with the hold revs.
We'll have a look.
out there as Verstappen, with the soft tyres bolted to the car, continues on his way. And what was his lap time across the line there? So he's continuing to run. Adrian Newey, for 3 decades, designing or consulting over the design team that put Formula One drivers on the top step of the podium, an unparalleled record of success for surely Formula One's greatest designer.
And everyone's thinking it's going to happen again this year. Red Bull 1 and 2 on the timing screens at the moment. Fernando Alonso is on the soft tyre then. We waited a long time to see this Aston Martin fully fledged with Alonso at the wheel on the softs, and it was within a tenth of Sergio Perez through the first sector. A lot of people excited about this car and driver combination. Fernando looked so on it from the first day in the car last week. Wasn't in for the first morning. Felipe Drugovich was driving. Fernando hopped in at lunchtime and was right on the limit straight away. No level of building up. Feels at home in the team, to run. And he might have just moved to Aston Martin at the right time.
Has he finally timed one correctly after driver moves that promised so much and didn't materialise? Let's be honest, wasted years, wasted talent at McLaren when he had such high hopes returning to the team. And middle section of the lap, 0.3 of a second off. But this is going to be encouraging for Aston Martin. Remember, their goal is not to fight with Red Bull. That was not their goal at the start of the year. Their goal was simply to move forward. Few eyebrows raised when Fernando Alonso chose to leave the 4th best team in Formula One for the 7th best team in Formula One. But they are a team with momentum, and over the line for Fernando Alonso to go P2 on a soft tyre ahead of the world champion. And if you're on board that hype train, maybe it's moving even quicker.
It's a little flex there, isn't it? Little flex from Aston Martin. We're going to get a smile out of Martin Whitmarsh? No, we're not. No, stern face as ever.
Game
smiles. But he has just split the Red Bulls. Now, the track is getting better. The Red Bulls were one of the early teams to switch on to that set of soft tyres. So The comparison is, well, the comparison with all of these times in FP1 you have to take with a slight pinch of salt, but the gap that Alonso has put to all the rest of the midfield is a second. There's, at the moment, a huge gap in times between the top three and Norris in fourth. Norris 1.4 seconds off Perez. Alonso just 0.4 away.
Yeah, Norris's time set on the soft tyre, Leclerc's time set on the medium. Worth clarifying the difference between those two. And looking in at driver number 10, now with Alpine, Pierre Gasly wanted this move. He wanted an opportunity to leave the Red Bull stable, a team that he was with for a long time in Formula One, a race winner with AlphaTauri, memorably so in Monza 2020. And now, after 108 races split between Toro Rosso, AlphaTauri and Red Bull, he gets his opportunity elsewhere. It's a works drive once again.